Does everybody know how to spell Portugal?
Yes.
Okay, very good, because we have a gentleman on who is from the official tourism bureau for the country.
I want to go to Portugal.
Well, Mr. Simoes is here, and I know I got your last name right, but I always mess up your first name. So
Hi there, it's Jaime.
Jaime.
Yeah, it's a tough one.
That's why you need to learn Portuguese. It's such a musical language.
It is a musical language. Yeah. We should learn that.
Yeah. Top 10 in the world, actually, in terms of most speakers. But we give the Brazilians a lot of credit for that, though.
Yeah, well, you know, they're nice people, those Brazilians.
Yeah. There's a lot of them.
There are a lot of them out there.
Yeah. They're all over the place.
Jaime, we need to talk about the first-time visitor coming to Portugal. I mean, let's start there, because statistically speaking, there are more people that haven't been to Portugal here from the United States than have.
Let's start in the Algarve.
That's a hell of an idea, Steve.
Thank you.
That's Steve O'Brien. He's good.
Hi,
Steve. What do you think?
You want to start in the Algarve, did you say?
Yeah, why not?
Well, you know, it's funny. I was just talking to a friend about the Algarve a few minutes ago, and, you know, they had a really a tough summer with Brits. The Brits are the #1 market. Almost 50% of their summer visitors are from Great Britain. And the person was saying, well, why don't more Americans go there? And I said, you know, to be honest, because they were doing so well with the British, they haven't been doing the promotion work here. But they've got 45 golf courses. They've got a brand new hiking trail that runs almost 200 miles from the eastern half of the Algarve all the way to the western half. You know, they've got historic cities, beautiful beaches, wonderful, wonderful climate. And, yeah, they could do a much better job in enticing Americans to come over, especially in the shoulder season, May, June,
I'm not going
September,
to Portugal
October.
to play golf, though.
You're not going to Portugal to play golf?
No, I don't want to play golf in Portugal.
I think you have a golf problem.
I'll look at a golf course there, but I'm sure they're beautiful. But I want to do I want to do Portuguese things.
Well, you want to do Portuguese
things? Yes. You want to have grilled sardines in the city of Portimão. They're so fresh. They're tossed up by fishing boats to the guys on the grills. They put them on the grill, and they sell them to you by the dozen.
Oh, my gosh.
I want sardines. Delicious. I want port.
Well, they do serve the sardines with red wine, but I bet if you ask for port, they could help you out. They could set you up.
All right, let's talk about let's talk gateway cities just a little bit. I think we should start there, don't you think?
Go ahead.
Absolutely. I'll tell you. How do you get there? It's a good question. You know, if you're in New York, you've got no problem. You've got Continental and TAP Portugal both flying direct.
Right.
TAP flies not only to Lisbon, but they fly to Porto now as well, several times a week, year-round. Porto is the northern city in Portugal. It's the second largest city. It's a beautiful historic city set on the River Douro. It gave its name not only to the country, Portugal, from Porto, but to port wine as well. So it's got a lot of history there. Also, Philadelphia in the summer, there's daily flights from U.S. Air. Boston, year-round, you've got flights to the Azores and Lisbon on SATA. And then SATA also flies once a week from Oakland, California to the Azores.
And how about when we're there? Realistically, how long should we stay to get a good flavor for the place?
A month.
Well, I'd say at least 2 months. But, you know, it really depends on what you're hoping to do. I mean, you can spend a week in Lisbon and not see every museum and not eat in every riverfront restaurant, not go to every fado club. But, you know, realistically speaking, I think you could get a flavor for Portugal in a week to 10 days and leave with the idea of going back and seeing more. You know, we have 5 major tourism regions inside the country of Portugal. It's about the size of Indiana. Plus, we've got 2 sets of Atlantic islands, Madeira, which is off the coast of Africa, and I'm going to be going there myself in about a week, and then the Azores, which are in the middle of the Atlantic.
Nice. And do we need to rent a car while we're there?
You know, good public transportation. Portugal will have high-speed rail in about 8 years before the U.S. But sorry to say that, unfortunately. But you know, I think if you're going to be exploring small villages, going to little towns in the mountains, you know, with castles, and yeah, it's a great idea to rent a car. And you know, you can get a pretty good deal from Avis or Hertz. But also, you know, if you want to not do that, there are lots of guided and escorted tours. The system of rail and bus is excellent, and you can fly between different parts of the country. So if you want to go to the Algarve, you can fly there from Lisbon. It's just you know, a 40-minute flight.
What do people not know about this country?
I think everything, and that's the problem. You know, we're the oldest country in Europe. You know, founded in 1139, and yet most Americans have very little sense of Portuguese history. It's because there aren't a lot of Portuguese in the U.S. Fewer than 1 million, mostly living in New Jersey, Philadelphia, southeastern New England, and California. So we're not really part of the American lexicon, unfortunately. So our food is terrific, but it's really the undiscovered part of Portugal to most Americans. The
I know
language,
one
the
important
culture.
thing about Portugal.
What do you know, Steve?
You cannot drive to the Azores.
You cannot drive successfully to the Azores. They're 1,000 miles off the coast of Lisbon. It's a 2-hour flight.
That's an excellent tip, Steve.
Yeah, thank you.
I mean,
Unless you've got one of those aqua cars, you might be able to pull that off.
and isn't it funny? We live in a world where that does actually exist.
Yeah. How many Azores are there these days?
There are 9 inhabited islands in the Azores, and they range from São Miguel, which is the biggest of all the islands, with 130,000 people, to the little island of Córdoba with a bustling population of 300 people.
Oh, that's your kind of place, Steve.
Absolutely.
You could be a big fish on a little Azore.
My goal.
It's a one-horse town, but it's a sweet little island, actually. I've not been there, but I've seen it from the neighboring island of Flores, which has a big population of about 3,000 people.
And you mentioned shoulder season being when?
Well, it depends. I mean, the big season anywhere in Europe is going to be July and August, just because that's when people have time off from work.
Right.
In Portugal, I think anything after September 1st and anything up to July 1st really is a shoulder season. Lisbon is, for example, is the place most Americans go or start, is a pretty affordable city. I was looking at prices this week. You can get some pretty decent hotels now for less than $100 a night.
Oh, wow.
Good quality hotels in the center of the city. And the reason I was checking, I had just read that actually Senator McCain's mother had to be hospitalized. She was visiting Lisbon 2 weeks ago, and she actually fell in a cafe.
Mm-hmm.
And I was curious as to where she was staying because I wasn't familiar with the hotel, and I saw it was 71 euros a night. It's about $98 a night.
Oh, it's a great rate. All we have to do is go to visitportugal.com, correct?
Yes, you go to visitportugal.com. You can find about hotels, things to do, itineraries, some package ideas, restaurants. It's all pretty much there. And also, I suggest going to TripAdvisor, too. It's a good resource to find out what other people are saying, get some objective opinions.
I like that. Thank you, sir, for being here.
Hey, nice chatting with you guys. Take care.
My pleasure. Come back anytime. You have an open invitation. I like
I appreciate that.
I like that guy.
I want to go to
Nice
Portugal.
guy. Yeah, I do. I would like to go.